Today we are talking about the one cosmetic product you apply directly to your lips, the product you reapply throughout the day, the product that, whether you think about it or not, you partially consume every single time you wear it. Studies estimate the average lipstick wearer ingests between 24 milligrams and 87 milligrams of lipstick per day through normal lip contact, eating, and drinking. You are not just wearing your lipstick, you are eating it. So here is the question nobody in the beauty industry wants you to ask. What exactly are you eating? In 2007, the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics tested 33 popular US lipsticks and found lead in 61% of them. The FDA followed with its own expanded testing in 2012, examining 400 lipstick products and found lead in every single one. Every product tested, lead levels ranged from 0.026 to 7.19 parts per million. The brand with the highest level was not a cheap drugstore product. It was a prestige brand sold at luxury prices. Lead has no safe level of exposure. That is the official stance of the CDC, the World Health Organization, and the American Academy of Pediatrics. No threshold below which lead is harmless. It accumulates in bone tissue. It disrupts neurological development. It interferes with hormone function. And it is sitting in the lipstick of some of the most trusted beauty brands in America, legally, because the FDA has set no maximum lead limit for cosmetics. Read that again. No maximum permitted lead level for lipstick exists in the United States. There is a voluntary guidance figure of 10 parts per million. Not a legal limit, not an enforceable standard, just a suggestion that several major brands have exceeded in independent testing. The lead arrives as a contaminant in pigment ingredients, particularly in red, pink, and orange shades where heavy pigment loads are highest. The manufacturers know this. Testing is available. Reformulation is possible. The choice not to test rigorously, not to reformulate, not to disclose, that is the active decision being made every time a new shade launches. Lead is not the only concern. Longwear lipstick formulas contain PFAS, forever chemicals that accumulate in your body and have been linked to thyroid disruption and immune suppression. Synthetic fragrance hides undisclosed chemical compounds in a product applied to your mouth. Coal tar dyes with carcinogenicity data that European regulators acted on decades ago remain fully permitted by the FDA. The EU has banned over 1,300 cosmetic ingredients. The US has banned fewer than 15. You are eating your lipstick. You deserve to know what's in it. If you wear lipstick, or someone you love does, subscribe right now. The beauty industry spends billions on this category annually. They spend almost nothing making it safer. Enough people knowing the truth is the only pressure that changes that. Number 8. Maybelline Color. Sensational. Maybelline is L'Oreal's mass-market workhorse. Color Sensational is one of the best-selling lipstick lines in America, available at every drugstore and big box retailer. The $7 to $10 price point makes it the entry point for millions of first-time lipstick wearers, including teenagers. Independent testing of Color Sensational shades has detected lead consistently, particularly in red and coral shades. The formula also contains BHA, butylated hydroxyanisole, listed by the National Toxicology Program as reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen and flagged under California Prop 65. It is in a product reapplied to lips multiple times daily by millions of people with decades of cumulative exposure ahead of them. Here is the defining fact about Maybelline's parent company. L'Oreal reformulates products for EU markets to meet European ingredient restrictions. The European version of this lipstick and the American version are not the same formula. L'Oreal knows exactly what European standards require. They apply them selectively by market. You are the market they chose to apply lower standards to. Number 7. Revlon Super Lustrous. Revlon Super Lustrous is an American icon, launched in 1940, one of the longest-running lipstick lines in US history. Revlon filed for bankruptcy in 2022, restructured, and relaunched. The bankruptcy proceedings revealed a cost-cutting culture defining a company managing decline rather than investing in quality. The 2012 FDA testing found Revlon products among the lines with detectable lead across multiple shades. The Super Lustrous line contains synthetic fragrance in a lip product applied to your mouth multiple times daily. The trade secret exemption concealing fragrance components applies to lip products exactly as it applies to everything else. Post-bankruptcy reformulation promises focused on packaging and shade range, the visible, marketable elements. Deep formula safety reviews are expensive and create liability exposure if results require acknowledgement. There is no public evidence that restructuring included rigorous heavy metal testing across the full shade portfolio. The icon survived bankruptcy. The formula questions survived with it. Number 6. L'Oréal Paris Color Riche. L'Oréal appears twice on this list because L'Oréal owns an enormous share of the US lipstick market and because the pattern across their portfolio, different formulas for different regulatory environments, is a corporate decision made at the highest level. The 2012 FDA lead testing found L'Oréal products in the upper range across the 400 product dataset. Color Riche contains titanium dioxide, classified as a possible human carcinogen via inhalation by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. In a lip product, the exposure route is ingestion rather than inhalation, but the classification exists and L'Oréal does not surface it on packaging. The line also contains aluminum-based pigments. Aluminum accumulates in tissue with repeated exposure. The European Food Safety Authority has set tolerable weekly intake limits for aluminum across all sources, limits that regular lipstick ingestion meaningfully contributes to. L'Oréal has full knowledge of this data. They formulate accordingly for Europe. They formulate differently for you. Number 5. NARS Lipstick. NARS is prestige accessible luxury, the brand that made black lipstick sophisticated. Shiseido acquired NARS in 2000. The brand maintains its $38 price point and its downtown credibility. The formula safety profile matches neither. Independent PFAS testing by researchers at the University of Notre Dame in 2021 found that long-wear lip products, a category NARS competes heavily in, showed some of the highest PFAS concentrations of any cosmetic type tested. Forever chemicals. They do not break down in your body. They accumulate, linked to thyroid disruption, immune suppression, and increased cancer risk across multiple international health agency reviews. PFAS are not listed on ingredient labels because they hide within the broad category of fluorinated film-forming agents that create long-wear performance. At $38 per bullet, NARS consumers are paying prestige prices for a product independent university testing placed in the high concern category for forever chemical content. Shiseido has the resources to reformulate. The commercial incentive requires consumer pressure they have not yet faced at scale. Number 4. MAC Matte Lipstick. MAC is the professional's brand, the brand makeup artists use. Estee Lauder companies have owned MAC since 1998, and 25 years of professional credibility has made it one of the most recommended lipstick lines in the industry. The FDA's 2012 study found MAC products, specifically in deeper matte shades, with lead levels among the higher readings in the entire 400 product dataset. Matte formulas require heavier pigment loads to achieve opacity without the reflective help of shimmer or gloss. Heavier pigment loads mean higher potential for heavy metal contamination from pigment sources. The connection between the matte finish consumers want and the lead exposure risk that achieving it creates is a formulation challenge MAC has never publicly disclosed navigating. MAC's Back to MAC refill program is genuine environmental responsibility in packaging. It creates an impression of corporate conscientiousness that extends in the consumer's mind to the formula. These are entirely separate things. You can have sustainable packaging and lead levels that exceed voluntary safety guidance simultaneously. MAC currently demonstrates both. Number 3. Wet n Wild Silk Finish. Wet n Wild is the budget floor of the American lipstick market, $2 to $4 per bullet. The price point is the entire value proposition. Budget formulation means ingredient selection, driven almost entirely by cost. The pigments in Wet n Wild Silk Finish are the least expensive available, and the least expensive pigments have the least rigorous heavy metal testing in their supply chains. Independent testing has found Wet n Wild products in concerning ranges for both lead and cadmium. Cadmium is classified as a known human carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. No safe exposure level has been established. The consumer buying Wet n Wild at $3 is almost certainly not cross-referencing heavy metal testing databases before purchase. The teenager buying her first lipstick at Walgreens has no way of knowing any of this. The people with the least purchasing power and the least access to safety information are buying the products with the least rigorous safety testing. The budget tier is not a lower price for the same product. It is a lower price because someone in the supply chain stopped asking questions. Number 2. Charlotte Tilbury Matte Revolution. Charlotte Tilbury is the luxury treatment purchase. $38 to $45 per bullet, sold at Sephora and Nordstrom. Old Hollywood packaging, professional artistry, brand story. The gift you give someone when you want them to feel genuinely special. The Matte Revolution line was flagged in PFAS testing examining the longwear cosmetics category. Longwear transfer-proof performance, the technology justifying the luxury price, frequently relies on fluorinated chemistry to achieve its staying power. That fluorinated chemistry is where forever chemicals enter the formula. At $40 for a lipstick you are partially ingesting throughout the day, PFAS contamination represents a fundamental mismatch between the luxury promise and the formula reality. The consumer paying $40 believes the premium price reflects premium safety standards. The PFAS data suggests the premium price reflects premium branding applied to the same category of formulation concerns found across the market at every price point. Interparfums acquired a majority stake in Charlotte Tilbury in 2020. The artisanal founder-led story remains the marketing. The financial reality is a fragrance conglomerate applying standard industry formulation economics. Number 1. Lancôme l'Absolu Rouge. Lancôme l'Absolu Rouge, $47 per bullet, L'Oréal's prestige flagship, French luxury sold to American consumers. The brand's French heritage implies sophisticated European safety standards, and here is the defining irony of this entire list. L'Oréal manufactures Lancôme for European markets under EU cosmetic regulations. Stricter standards, more restricted ingredient lists, more prohibited colorants. L'Oréal manufactures Lancôme for the American market under FDA regulations, a framework last meaningfully updated in 1938. Same company, same brand, same French luxury story, two different formulas depending on which regulatory environment they're selling into. The 2012 FDA lead testing found Lancôme products among the highest lead levels in the entire 400-product study. L'Absolu Rouge shades appeared in the upper tier of detected contamination at $47 per bullet, with French luxury positioning, manufactured by the company that knows exactly what European standards require because they meet them in France every day. This is the most clarifying data point on this list. The brand with the most resources, the highest price point, and the most sophisticated regulatory knowledge produced among the highest lead contamination levels. Not because L'Oréal doesn't know how to remove it, because the FDA doesn't require them to, because voluntary guidance is not enforcement, because $47 and the word French are enough to make the consumer trust the product without asking what's in it. What to actually wear. 3 criteria define a genuinely safe lipstick: independently published heavy metal testing results, no intentional fluorinated chemistry in longwear formulas, and an ingredient list you can cross-reference against the EU Restricted Substances database. First, Beautycounter Sheer Lipstick. Beautycounter publishes heavy metal testing results publicly. Batch tested, third-party verified, available on request. The brand restricts over 1,800 ingredients, exceeding both FDA and EU standards. Around $32 directly from Beautycounter. This is what transparency looks like when a company decides it is a competitive advantage rather than a liability. Second, Ilia Color Block Lipstick. Ilia formulates to EU cosmetic standards across its entire range. One global standard, not a separate formula for different markets. No synthetic fragrance in lip products. Independent testing has not flagged Ilia in heavy metal concern categories, around $28 at Sephora and directly from Ilia. Third, W3LL People Bio Tinted Lip Products. Cosmos Certified Organic. Formulated without synthetic dyes carrying heavy metal contamination risk. Leaping Bunny certified with independent supply chain auditing. Around $18 to $22 at Whole Foods and online. The shade range is more limited, the trade-off for using pigments with clean supply chains. It is a trade-off worth making. You apply lipstick to your mouth, you reapply it all day, you eat it. The FDA has known about the lead since at least 2007. The brands have known from their own internal testing they are not required to publish or act on. No legal lead limit for lipstick exists in the United States. That single fact should end the industry's ability to claim it is protecting you. The EU acted, the FDA has not. The brands selling $47 French luxury meet EU standards in France and apply a different calculation to your lips. Look up independent testing. Buy from brands that publish their results. And if this changed what is in your makeup bag, subscribe. Tell us which brand shocked you most. Tell us what we investigate next. Read the label, then read what isn't on it.